Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Self-Publishing Roundtable, a blog, site, and podcast for indie authors and by indie authors. Tonight, Xavier is still away in Mexico. As some of you may know, he is imbibing in mojitos, Wade's favorite drink. And Wade Finnegan is off doing... Actually, I've forgotten what he's doing, but he's not here,
I
obviously.
think he's a hockey tourney.
Oh, yep, that makes sense. So you're stuck with me, Erica Conroy, and you're also stuck with Chrishaun Keller-Hanna. Yay!
Yay! Sorry
Woo!
about that.
And today our guest is special author Ruby Madden, who we've invited specifically on this podcast to discuss multi-author book bundles, which is something I think all of us will probably end up being in at one point or the other, and it's important, so pay attention, people. So hello, Ruby, and thank you for agreeing to be on the show.
Hello, glad to be here. I really appreciate the invite. Thank you.
Awesome, awesome. So let's get straight into the questions. Do you want to start, Chrishaun, or do you want me to kick it off with the first one?
Well, I'm going to start it off the same way I always started it off. Tell us about you, Ruby. First of all,
right.
Whenever we get a guest in, I always look at the catalog. I see you have a lot of books in your catalog, which makes my heart feel good. And I see that you write erotica in many different flavors.
Yes.
And also you have more than one pen name. And so could you tell us about the pen name and if they represent a brand, or just tell us about that in general?
Sure, yeah, no problem. So I first started writing in 2012, and like many people, wanted to be able to self-publish, and was just brave and decided to put my own work out there. And so it all started in 2012. And then what I realized is that for me, I write basically under the Ruby Madden pen name. I write contemporary erotic romance. Mm-hmm. So as long as the story had a contemporary, timeline and a romance on some level, I did a lot of exploration and tried to write stories that I personally was very interested in and invested in, not just necessarily writing to a market idea, if you will. And then last year, I decided to go ahead and branch out and to write into some other genres, and so I grew into a paranormal romance pen name. That's Emerald Wright, and it's focused on shapeshifter stories. And then this year, I launched another pen name, Amber Stewart, and I'm writing science fiction romance with a metaphysical element. So I'm going to be growing both of those author platforms over the next year.
I was riffing off of the name. Well, yes, I was. I noticed it, Ruby and then Emerald, and then I was like, well, Diamond, and Sapphire, and then maybe Topaz, but you went with Amber.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, you definitely noticed the theme. I was trying to do something that I thought could, I don't know, have like the same platform, if you will. But for some reason, Amber just stuck. Like I just kept trying other gems, if you will, other jewels, and it just didn't work as well as Amber. But what I do try to do, as far as the last name, those are actually family names.
Oh.
So on my mother or father's side. So I just wanted to stay true with the last name with, heritage. It's actually my own, if you will.
Right. So when it comes to your non-erotica genre, what made you settle on that? Is it just simply, I've written all of this and I like this, or were you looking for a certain kind of flavor with that?
Yeah, it was, what happened, I decided to write a paranormal love story called Spooked, and I wrote that under the Ruby Madden pen name, and it actually got really good reception. People liked it. And so that gave me the confidence to move forward, and I was like, okay, well, what's doing really well right now in paranormal romance? And so, shapeshifters have done really well, and so then I decided to go ahead and start a series writing a shapeshifter love story.
And tell us a little bit about your science fiction.
Sure. The science fiction is new, too. It's a little bit more focused on metaphysical elements and specifically targeted at the a BBW reader because I myself am a BBW, a big woman.
Big
And
girls unite.
exactly. I mean, that's a common theme. All of my stories, except for a handful, do have BBW heroines. So I've been appealing to that market reader for one simple reason. Clear back in 2011, 2012, when I first bought a Kindle, and I wanted stories that had curvy heroines, if you will. They weren't common then, but thankfully they are now.
Yep.
Are you finding that you're able to find more stock imagery or more models to reflect that, or are you just putting hot men's torsos on the front?
Right, you nailed it. I have had to go the way of the man chest. You nailed it. Although I have to give Alexa Riley credit because they have been using a plus size model for a couple of their new releases, and I'm really proud of them because I know that would be an expensive model to get to use for a book cover. But I was so excited when I saw it. I was like, yes, finally.
Girls.
Yeah.
And I also like that some of your erotica is interracial because my husband is white Irish, and there isn't a lot of representation in that, so I'm just gonna love that.
Nice. Well, I'm glad I enjoy, how do I say it? I over the years I've tasted many flavors, so so I try to incorporate that in my writing as well.
Right what you know.
Yep, right what you know. True.
Oh, we ain't even mad at you. Okay, I know Erica has been itching to talk about this for the last week and a half.
Okay, good.
Push this over to Erica to talk about your bundles.
Okay.
Awesome. Okay.
So you've already got the one bundle out, and you're currently, which is called Spring Fever, and was the paranormal romance
Yes.
one.
Yes.
You're currently working on putting together a science fiction romance bundle. But why did you decide to set up your first multi-author bundle in the first place?
Well, it's funny. I'm one of those people who I'm willing to try anything and learn. And then if it doesn't go so well, I can decide if I want to keep doing it and not do it again. Take it from there.
Mm-hmm.
So the fun news is I actually have done quite a few bundles before this one with different collaborators. But the Spring Fever one, it worked out really well because it's a really strong group of paranormal romance authors, and so there's a lot of, if you what you would call author clout. And one of the things one of the reasons I have been very proud of and excited about that bundle is all of the authors know what to do. And we come together and we collaborate and we put together something we think the readers will enjoy. But they each independently have a very tight ship. They run their authorship very tight, and that means they know their readers, they know how to market, they know how to advertise, they know how to put together a newsletter and time it. They understand how the Amazon algorithms and ranking work, and so what's nice about it is you've got a group of people who we're not all flying blind, I guess you could say. It's kind of like just managing a group of people that are really more or less experts at what they do. And then one of the reasons I like doing it is the most obvious one is for the readers. Readers absolutely love bundles. They go crazy over them. So they just, more is better, right? And for a good price, they appreciate the really good price. And then I've always gotten lots of feedback about how they are enjoying discovering other authors. So they will, buy it because they know 3 maybe out of 10 of the authors in the bundle, but then they see these other great stories, and then they decide to go ahead and read the other stories and enjoy those too, and find new authors and stories that they enjoy. So.
So you've just mentioned that there's visibility and discovery is one of the main benefits for the authors joining the
Yeah.
bundle. Do you think there are any other benefits for them, or even are there any cons for them to join a bundle?
Yeah, exactly. Well, one thing it can do is it can help boost your overall author rank. So by being able to partner and collaborate with different authors, it helps with your overall author rank in an Amazon category typically. And then one of the other things it does is there's kind of an advertising marketing word called cross promo, and that means that if you can get an author to be willing to promote your book to their newsletter list and vice versa, that affects what's called the Autobots in the Amazon page. And what that does is that it kind of creates a direct line to your book and back, and that way readers, when they're shopping, they'll see, oh, okay, there's this title. Oh, look at this one, and then they go click and they go over there and buy another book. So there's definitely benefits to being able to work with a group of authors in a particular niche, so that you can make the most of the most money, if you will. Sorry about that. I got a phone call. My apologies.
Fine. And like I think you might have already mentioned, there's the benefit of working with more experienced authors.
Yes, definitely.
It's almost like a networking thing as well, isn't it? You now have access to these authors. Wow, someone really wants to call you.
Yeah, I'm sorry it's so loud. I've got the volume up so I can hear you, but I'm trying. Usually I can mute it. Usually it is mute. I don't know why it's doing that. My apologies.
Okay, so were there any downsides, or have you found any downsides to being in a bundle, or is it?
Yeah, there can definitely be a downside. That's for sure. The biggest one being if you happen to get a member of the group that just doesn't seem to want to pull their share of the weight, if you will. And I've had that happen in a couple, and most of the time I think it's just that they're not feeling as confident or as strong as the rest of the group, or they're just too busy. And so in that case, it's like, okay, well, that's where kind of it leads into contract agreement territory, where it's kind of like, we need you to be willing to agree to this and make the bundle successful. And so because of, just my personal background, I'm pretty good at being able to kind of talk with people and just find out what's going on and see if there's a reason or something I can help them with. So that could be a downside.
So what do you mean by pulling their weight? I'm like, hello?
Well, the bundles, yeah, I apologize. It's on mute, but I don't know. I'm not sure why it's not working right now. Hold on just a moment.
Certainly. Hey, girl, what you doing? I can't talk right now. I'm on the podcast.
Aha. Okay, I've got it. Sorry, I've got it on mute now. Hopefully it won't interrupt us again. I apologize.
That's fine. So back to Chrishaun's question. So what do you mean by people pulling their weight? What do they have to be doing?
So putting together one of these bundles can be can involve a lot of work. So there's an initial push, and basically you just need each participating author to basically help with the social media process, help with the advertising process, being timely in how they communicate, and just being available, to the group especially during the publishing week when everything is being published.
So how do you handle all of the communication between a group of authors who are presumably in different time zones?
Yeah, what I have used that has worked the best is a Facebook group. Mm-hmm. And so I invite everyone into the group, and we use that as the primary place to talk and communicate. And for the most part, it works really well. There is some back and forth email-wise for the contract, but for the most part, everything gets handled inside of a Facebook group. It's private, marked private.
Yeah. Okay. Now, that's the second time you've mentioned contracts, so I guess it's like subliminally telling us we should talk about contracts. Now, I know that some multi-author book bundles don't hand what's the words I'm looking for? So usually, a lot of the ones that I've seen are for a limited time only, and they try and make them perma-free so that there's no royalty or payment going to the authors in the bundle. But I've noticed, and I know that you are one of the ones that will pay royalties or a royalty share to the authors.
You got it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So how do you come up with a contract, and how do you get them to all those authors in all those countries?
Yeah, exactly. Well, the good news is that my writing and publishing business is an LLC, so it's a limited liability corporation. So anything I do, publishing or writing wise, is actually under kind of under a business umbrella in the United States. And just because of my professional background, I have a business education, and over the years I've worked as a corporate professional. I know how important it is to just have agreements and contracts in place so that everybody's clear about what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And so I use contracts so that I can outline the different aspects of the bundle. One of the things I really believe in is that authors should definitely be compensated for their creative content.
Mm-hmm.
And so I do bundles where it's a percentage share. There is a small percentage taken off the top for being the leader and the organizer and manager of it. And so that's just a generic 10%. And then the rest is divided amongst the author participants. And basically, there is reporting requirements in the U.S. because of the IRS.
Mm-hmm.
And so basically the business has to report anytime it pays out earnings above $600 to an author. And so that is covered for American authors, is covered by completing the W-9. For non-American authors, it's done completing the W-8 BEN. And then that way, my LLC can send a paper to the author letting them know what their earnings are, and then in their country, they can report that as income for whatever taxes they might be due.
Excellent. And how do you submit that contract through to the authors?
Yeah, I actually copycatted another friend of mine, author friend, who has an LLC publishing business. She lives in Florida, and she uses an online website called signatureconfirm.com.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really simple. Basically, you can pull together a basic contract and then have an attorney just double check it to make sure that it's appropriate for your business, and in my case it would be publishing. And then there I can just copycat the contracts and dole them out to each individual author name, and that way they have a copy for their records and I have a copy for mine.
That's
So
brilliant.
does the website Signature Confirm, do they provide the legal assistance, or do you have to find your own legal assistance there?
Yeah, I did my own. I just the same person who helped me incorporate, I just sent it to them and just asked them to overview it. Probably cost me a couple $100, but it's worth it because then it's kind of like a hybrid contract, or rather like a template. I can pretty much use it for anyone who wants to work with me on an author bundle.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a perfect example of good money spent up front to prevent a lot of trouble on the back end.
Yeah, because I mean, the thing that you have to be really concerned with is, I have another author friend, and she started doing bundles, but she did not collect the W-9 forms or the IRS forms before the bundle published. She started going after those after the bundle was published, and unfortunately, what happened is a couple of the authors she just couldn't reach. There were different reasons she couldn't reach them, and so the other issue it created was by not incorporating herself when the money was paid out by Amazon, rather than being paid to her business, was paid to her personally, and so that was attached to her Social Security number, which created a huge tax problem for her because the bundle was very successful. It was like a top 100 bundle for a couple months, so it made quite a bit of money. And so she learned the hard way, and so thankfully I learned from her, be smart about it and just be, business savvy and set it up so that everybody is kind of protected by the contract and agreement.
That's a very good lesson. And
yeah, right?
Yeah. What else did you wish you knew before you started this? Or what would you, let's say, once again, Erica is really pumped about this because she wants to do it.
Okay, good.
What would you, sorry, I'm sorry about telling all your secrets, honey. But
I planned that one yet.
Okay.
So give us, to learn from my fail or learn from other people's fail speech, what do you wish you knew before you started this, or what should we know?
Yeah. Well, the first thing, there's a couple things I would recommend. One is there definitely has to be an advertising marketing budget. And so you need to know in advance, okay, guys, we're going to spend $300, $400, $500 on this. So everybody's in agreement. And the best way I found to approach that is just take the cost of advertising away from the earnings. So nobody has to pay that out of pocket. It's more about me just paying for it from the earnings of the bundle. And so that means setting up advertising in advance. And so there's definitely third-party advertising promo sites that do well and others that don't. And I hate to say it, but that's kind of a live and learn situation. I've done a lot of research to figure out which ones are worth their money and which ones aren't. So that's one big tip. Another one is to really be smart about which Amazon genre category you put the bundle in, because your main goal should be to get into a couple of top 100 categories at Amazon with the bundle. But as you know, if you have a bundle full of all types of stories, there's all these different genres, so you have a lot of different choices or options to pick from. So you have to think ahead, okay, does it make sense? Do we want to be in the interracial and multicultural genre, or do we want to be in the witches and wizards, even though they're maybe all paranormal? So you have to really think ahead. You might have sorcerers, you might have ghosts, you might have who knows, space aliens, So you have to kind of figure out, okay, which category do we stand the best shot at being in the top 100? So that's another big tip I could give you. And then what else? Know the goals of the bundle. Like the Spring Fever bundle, we all decided, there's 5 of us in that bundle that had done another bundle over the holidays called Shifter Wonderland. And we invited everybody who was in that bundle to do another one. And so about half of us decided we wanted to move forward. And the last bundle we did in Shifter Wonderland, our goal was to get our U.S. Today and maybe even our New York Times best-selling author letters, if you will. And so that bundle was sold wide. It was sold at Kobo and Play, Barnes & Noble, and iBooks, and of course Amazon. So that bundle did not get enrolled in the Kindle Unlimited program. And that was because our goal was we wanted our titles. We did earn the USA Today title, but we didn't make... Thank you. It was fun to do. But we didn't get the New York Times, and that's okay, because we're actually going to try and get it this year. It's one of our goals. But for this current bundle, Spring Fever, Its goal is to make money, pure and simple. Make our readers happy, make money. Honestly, it's that simple. And so it is. And the reason it's making money is it is enrolled in the Kindle Unlimited program. And so we're earning quite a bit on pages read. And we're going to leave it in Kindle Unlimited for 180 days. That's our goal with that bundle. So, so know your goals.
All right, then.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a couple of questions about the advertising and advertisers. The first one, that $300 to $400, let's just say, does that come out the 10% you take off the top, or is this another line item?
Right, exactly. It's its own line item. So you have earnings, and then you deduct your advertising and marketing costs, and then from that total, we remove the 10% that I get for publishing, and then we divide the pot between the 10 authors.
All right, then. And Demelza Carton, who is a lovely author, is asking if you can share some of the advertisers that you used, especially the one that helped you hit the list, get your letters.
Yeah, there. I'll tell you. I have to give you a little bit of background, and then I'll tell you this.
Certainly.
Yeah. So for 2016, I made a business goal, and that business goal was to really track the ROI, the return on investment of any advertising money that I spent. So I tackled it. I created a spreadsheet and have a Google Doc, rather I should say, and I'm sharing it with people who are also tracking their ROI and the effectiveness of the money they're putting towards their ads. And then I also connected with another great author in the UK who is approaching it from another way. And so she has set up and established a website called Book Buddy, and authors can join it. I think it's like $1. It's very cheap. And she has this ongoing spreadsheet that you could have access to that talks about return on investment. And so we're learning from that. So how do I say this? There's a whole bunch of different promo sites that, in my opinion, are doing decent. Very few are doing great or well. So there's very few out there that I give an A or a B rating to. Most of them are getting C ratings, and a lot of them are getting D and F ratings. So what I can do to anyone who's interested in knowing, I can post on my website that information so people can have access to it, because I really think that authors should be able to find really good resources about where to spend their advertising dollar, because it's getting tougher and tougher to get your book in front of the reader for a reasonable price. It's pretty hard.
Just so, and I really appreciate you doing that for us and our listeners, because
yeah, no problem.
A great resource.
Sure thing.
All right then. Now, you are doing these bundles under your own LLC that also covers your individual series, correct? Do I have that right?
Yes, you got it. So pretty much all my writing I publish under my LLC. You got it.
All right then. How does this set up, the way you set the infrastructure you use to set up your bundles, how is that different from your author business? Or is it basically I write and then I write a book and that goes into the bundle?
Right, exactly. So what I've managed to do is, great question by the way, what I've managed to do is I see the bundling aspect of my business is more on the publishing side. And what I try to do is I try to use, for the most part, existing stories, stories that are already part of my catalog, author catalog, and then figure out a way to get them into a bundle, whether it's me running the bundle or another bundle that happens to be out there. And so that's how I operate. I think of a title that I would like to reach more readers, which is usually a title that's part of a series or a serial. And so what that means is I'm giving the reader a book one or a part one, and then hopefully if they like it and enjoy that story, then they'll go on and look into the other parts of the series or the serial.
Right, the first taste is free-ish.
Exactly.
99 cents.
Yeah, a deal, a real deal.
All right then. For your books, is there a criteria that you're looking for, or is it anyone who seems to have their act together?
Excellent question. A little bit of both. I'm pretty, I'm pretty open. I'm really easy to work with, so I'm super flexible. And I've also learned over the years because of the professional work I do
Hmm.
in corporations. I have learned that variety really is the spice of life,
Right.
and and it actually does make for a better, if there's a product or a group or a project, uh, variety within collaborators is a good thing. So I really try to be open-minded. But what I will look for is an author who knows their own writing business, who understands their own, if you will, brand, and who can bring something to the table. So most of the time, I'm looking for somebody who has like a sincere investment in their author career, and they really want to grow their author career, and they have, in some ways shown that they are doing that or are on their way. And so one of the fun things about the bundles is being able to include people that are a little bit more on the fledgling side of the writing path, but you can see that they're doing good, and they're they're gonna break through soon. And so that's a lot of fun. Sometimes I will actually approach. Um, and then the other thing I've done too is I've actually approached authors that are really big, but you wouldn't think they would be interested in a bundle. But it turns out that they're like, yeah, nobody ever asked me to participate in one. I'm gonna do this. It's kind of like the most beautiful woman in the world never getting asked out on a date because all the men think she's getting asked out constantly. I think it's kind of a little bit like that.
Nice.
Might as well ask, hey, want to be part of our bundle? Sure. So,
I would
yeah.
love to. No one ever asked for you.
Yeah, it was, yeah, I had one author in their current bundle. She was just like, finally, nobody ever asked me to do these things. You finally did. I'm like, oh, good Lord, it's because they know you're making so much money. You probably don't need any help.
Well, they're scared.
Yeah,
Mm,
yeah, or they're
High up.
scared too.
Yeah.
I agree.
Okay. Um, I wanted to talk about. I think we've covered pretty much what your role as organizer is, but I want to ask you again to fine tune it. Your job as the organizer of the bundle is to wrangle cats and make sure of the money. But is there anything else you wanted to? I'm sorry. Is there anything else that you wanted to point out on what's really important when it comes to organizing?
Sure. Definitely. Probably just, boy, you know how it's one of those things like I've got it down to a fine art at this point. I've done enough now that I'm like, okay, I know how to do this and run this ship pretty well. The key really is the communication, I would say, more than anything. Just being consistent about what the goal of the bundle is, how it's going to be achieved, being able to follow up with the participants to make sure that they're doing what needs to be done. Um, and for some of them, that might be writing something new. For others, it may just be getting the manuscript to you, by a certain date. And the other aspect to it is, of course, corralling the readers that you would need to help with reviews.
Hmm.
Reviews are very, very important to any published book success because it gives um, customers who aren't for sure about what they're going to do with the story. It gives them a nudge to go ahead and do that one click. And so reviews really do push people over the edge. So you want to make sure you have at least 100, 200, or 300 readers that are willing to review the book for you. And what's really nice is with a large group of authors, that's easily attainable. With a single author, that might be intimidating and not easy to do. But with a
Right.
large group, you can usually corral that many readers, and then from there, it just kind of organically helps launch the bundle so it can do well.
Great. And who is your perfect author? Now you mentioned one. Sorry, English is failing me. You mentioned that someone who is motivated, who wants the discoverability and all that. But who are the folks that you really like having in bundles?
Yeah. I really enjoy the authors who really understand branding. So they're writing to market, but they're creating great story. And one of my favorite authors, because they're very down to earth and they're also very humble about their success, but they continue to write great stories. I can pick up any of their stories and get pulled in immediately and just enjoy it for what it is. And that would be T.S. Joyce.
Mm.
And her ability to kick out a book, literally, it's like every 10 to 12 days you'll get a newsletter from her, and she's written another one. I mean, it's just insane. It's like, how do you do this, woman? But the thing that's wonderful is she really, really loves her stories. She loves the series. She loves her characters. She's built this huge world, shapeshifter world, and you can tell that she 100% is invested in her stories as an author. So that would be the main thing I admire, is when an author has managed to find a genre or a niche that they can write to, that they truly enjoy and love themselves. They're not just doing it for the money, but they're actually really enjoying it for themselves.
The money does help, though. So.
Yes, the money does help. That's for sure.
Cash always helps, but love, that's why you get into it.
Yes, yeah. So, and the good news is that the readers are there. Like, another really great example is Bella Forrest. I mean, right now, Bella owns Amazon. It's ridiculous. That woman's making at least a few million a month. Not even kidding.
No,
and
she built a house on that property.
Yeah, she's buying a few houses for that property. It's like, but the thing that's really cool is if you look at her interviews, you'll discover that when she first started writing those stories, everybody was like, "Oh, the vampire market's tapped out. Everybody's twilighted out. Nobody wants to read vampires anymore." Well, guess what? They were wrong.
Yeah.
She's writing what she loves. She likes vampires. So the moral of the story is, I really feel like the readers are there. It's just a matter of figuring out how to get them to find you, and that's where the advertising and marketing piece is really important. And so I'm still learning very much. Like, I'm very much on that journey, but I do feel like I've come quite a bit further than where I was 4 years ago. So.
Are you a full-time author now?
I am now, and it's so much fun, and it's also really scary because I've always had a corporate career to lean on, and so writing for me was like, it started out as a hobby, and it was a way to get stress relief from my everyday job. And then finally, late last year, I took the leap of faith and decided to write full time. And so far, it's working out. I should be able to do this. So, keep your fingers crossed for me.
Yes, we will. So tell us a little bit about your writing process. What does your day look like? How many words a day?
Sure.
Stuff like that?
Yeah. So right now, one of the things I do, I write the same way I read, and that is that I read multiple books at the same time. So I have multiple works in progress, multiple whips. So right now, I'm trying to finish up 3 different series and have those finished by the end of March. And then the word count thing, I do track all my words written just so that I know my productivity. And what I've learned is I tend to write 3 to 4 days out of the week, and I track anywhere from 250 words up. So I average about 500 to 2,000 words a day. Some days will be great, and it'll be like 3 or 4 or 5,000 words, and then other days it's just like, oh, good grief, I just need to get this one scene done, and it's like 500 words. And I guess we all know that feeling, right?
Yeah,
Okay, let's just get this done. Let's just get this done. But I've learned that my writing process is pretty relaxed. Like, I don't necessarily have a set time or certain days of the week that I do it. I just more, when the inspiration hits, I start writing.
So
And
how
that's
do you?
totally at odds to what some people are coming out and saying now. You've got to train yourself to get your butt in the seat, and get the words out.
Hmm.
So it's nice to hear that there's something else works for someone else. So it's really
Yeah. Yeah, I think for me what's more realistic is having kind of a weekly or monthly expectation. So if each month I write 25 to 40,000 words, then I'm okay with myself. I feel good. And then knowing that there's going to be months that I probably write less and months that I write more, but if you look at it annually and get an average, I'm okay. I'm hitting my mark. Some people, yeah, it's a little bit more like exercise, where okay, you got to brush my teeth every day, or I got to go jog every day. Like, for me, I'm more of the, I'm gonna go swim later, or maybe tomorrow. So
Yeah, I
it's
don't
kind of
even
the
brush
same
my
thing with
teeth
my
every
writing.
day.
Yeah, but I love writing. I love disappearing inside the world of my characters and just being able to share that form of escapism with readers is an adrenaline rush for me. So it's just a part of who I am at this point.
And we've talked about the communication is key with the authors in the multi-book bundle, but how much communication do you think is key to keep your readers engaged and interested?
Good question. When I first started writing and publishing, I went kind of social media nuts. Everybody said, "Oh, if you want to reach readers, you got to tweet like mad. You got to Facebook." I mean, it's just crazy, right? But so what I've managed to do is I have a very big social media platform. Like I pretty much, you name it, I've got it. Pinterest, Goodreads, whatever, all over the place. But what I try to do is communicate primarily now through Facebook and my newsletters. So newsletters is really key because I can send out a newsletter now and the responses will just pour back. It's like, wow, my inbox to go back to look and I'm like, holy crap, I got 25 people who just responded. So that's cool. So I do stop and take the time to really engage with my readers because I am a people person. Might be kind of the stupidest way to put it, but it's the truth. And I like being able to find out who is reading and why. And readers are really gracious. Like I've heard these nightmare stories by some authors that just have horrible experiences, and I don't know. I mean, I guess I've just been really blessed or lucky, but the people who are reading my stuff they're pretty great people, and they're very nice. And what's the most fun is when they've read a story and they have a take on it that you didn't even think about. But I love that when they have their perception that's just kind of unique to them as a reader. I find that fascinating. So yeah, it's fun. I would say they'll give it an hour a day, but no more, just because I think there's precious little time in the day as is. But like an average of an hour a day
So what are you
on
spending
social
the
media.
rest of what are you spending the rest of your day doing if you're only doing an hour a day on social media and maybe 2,000 words a day writing? That's a couple
Yeah,
of hours
exactly.
maybe.
A lot of research and author networking. So I read a lot of other authors' work to
Mhm.
improve my writing and see how they're doing their craft. And then I also belong to some author groups on Facebook and on discussion forums. And so there's a lot of interaction there. Uh, Sometimes it can be just get down to business, let's do some cross promotion, help one another sell books, or it can just be chatting about whatever, gossip of the day is going on. Because you know how that goes, right?
Yeah, I do.
Like
Yeah.
right now, everybody's talking about, Spamazon, about how all the marketing spammers have been, you know, scamming people out of KENP. And, for me, I'm really passive when it comes to that stuff, but I do like to be on top of it and know what the heck is going on. So I do a lot. I do read a lot and stay on top of things and see what other authors are saying. So. And then on the business side of it, just just running the advertising, marketing, promotions. I find that stuff is actually the most time consumptive, believe it or not.
Oh,
I'm okay, good. Yeah, and I'm hoping that at some point this year I can actually hire somebody part-time to just do it for me, because I mean it's a pain in the butt. It really is.
Is there more work required, do you think, for promotion and marketing of a bundle versus one of your single titles?
Yeah, I do actually think that there is quite a bit more. Just because you're there's other people participating, and it's not just your readers, and it just naturally, because of its purpose, does seem to be a bit more work, for sure. Like, I can easily say that pre-launch, it's a 40 to 60-hour work week, a week or two before. Yeah.
That almost sounds like real work.
It is real work. You nailed it. I know. No longer a hobby. Exactly. As soon as the IRS said, we want your taxes, I went, holy shit, I'm real. Oh, man, I got to pay them.
So, like you said, everyone does have to pull their weight when it comes to the multi-author bundling, because that's a lot of hours. And
so
that would
far.
be just, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What's nice is, I've had authors say, I don't really want to be that involved. I don't have time for this, but I'll give you this story, and for me, that's kind of a red flag. It's like, well, yeah, I don't know. I think if you really believe in your product, you're going to work for it. So,
right. You have to put in the work.
Yeah, I agree.
You're going to make the time. Just like getting the writing done in the first place. You've got to make the time for that advertising too.
I agree. There's a forum that I belong to, and there's a couple of members on there who are $1 million authors. Like, they're making very good money, and one of them in particular, I love him to death, because he will just flatline level newbies that come in that think that writing and publishing and being a self-published author is easy. But he does it in such a way where he kind of really gives them the wake-up call, like, okay, so he talks about time, but the thing that's fun, though, is, for me, the thrill is people paying for what I call creative content. Mm-hmm. So creative content is really versatile, and it's one of those things where it can be total hit or miss. So if it hits really, really big. When you think of your favorite musician, your favorite actor, your favorite movie, your favorite book, it can hit really big, meaning if people really enjoy it, they're going to buy it, and they don't care how much it costs. But we all know that there's, like, for every one person who really hits it and is successful, there's, hundreds of thousands of others who did not. So there's a lot of middle ground. And so my goal is to just be really strong in the middle, so to speak. Like, I have a certain number, if you will, that I'm trying to reach for as far as earnings, but while still being able to enjoy myself. I don't mind working hard. I've never minded working hard, and that's true in my corporate life too. But there's a certain number I definitely want to reach as, an entrepreneur, so that I have a certain lifestyle.
Mm-hmm. Can we ask what it is, or is that kind of like...
It is private.
All right, then we'll walk right by that.
Fair enough, thank you.
Not a problem. But I do want to ask you about the writer's life. That's the thing I'm really excited about. How do you maintain that balance without getting burned out, without getting, like, incredibly unhealthy? How do you keep your mental strength up? What do you employ to make sure you have a well-rounded writer's life?
Yeah, great question, especially lately, because I'm finding that, before I had a reason to get my butt out of the bed in the morning at a certain time. There was a reason you took a shower and put on antiperspirant and ate food at a certain time, and your butt was in a chair somewhere else at a particular time, because, well, if it wasn't there, you didn't get a paycheck. Right. So yes, I'm at that point where, okay, I'm 6 months into writing full time, and definitely dealing with the reality of, okay, there needs to be some sort of schedule here. so yeah, it's it's gonna be discipline, just putting myself on a schedule. Um, as for like things that need to get done daily, I'm working on that. I'll be honest. It's been a little bit like, hey, I can wake up at 10. How look at But I am trying to get more disciplined, and so I'm gonna have to report back to you my progress on that. But I do like the writer's life because I do appreciate the freedom. Really, as long as you have an internet connection, a laptop, a little bit of money,
Right.
you can be a published author these days. So
Anywhere, anytime. Yeah.
pretty much.
As long as you put in the work.
Mhm. Yep. I definitely think the one thing that's hard is it is like a 360 thing. So, I'm thinking about my books or publishing or advertising or, oh, it's 3 a.m. I forgot to do that and you need to do that. So you definitely are kind of 24/7 wrapped up in your own business. But for me, I'm enjoying that. Some people might not enjoy that, but personally, I like it. I like having that. Um, I like knowing that I'm 100% in charge and that it's totally on me. That everything's totally on me at this point.
And you're
Is there
totally
any-
surrounded by being a place that you love being.
Yes, I've lived in the Pacific Northwest now for a long time, and you nailed it. And a beautiful place.
Is there anything you really hate other than spending all that time on advertising? That's part of the writer's life now.
Anything that I hate. Well, it's a great question. Gosh, I'm kind of stuck.
That's okay. Take
I
your
would,
time.
yeah, it's a great question. Probably about the only thing I have found that I dislike. It's very simple. You might laugh at me. Is because of the social media thing. There's lots of newbie authors that will find you and they'll friend you,
Mm-hmm.
and then they immediately want you to like and love everything they've got going on, and it's just like, no, block, delete.
Yeah.
It's like, it's like real life. You wouldn't just walk up to me and hand me your book and be like, I need you to read this. Would you like it, please? You'd be more like, have a conversation, get to know me,
Right.
talk
Bite
about
me
other
a
things
treat.
besides our stories. So I would say I hate that. I hate it when new authors think that, they should just harass existing authors and there's better ways of going about it.
Right. Or get booty hurt when you're like, oh, that's nice. Now write another.
Yes. Yeah. And it's true. And boy, you just said something really powerful there. You have to get over your own story. You really do. It's kind of like you have to fall in love with it and fall out of love with it. Fall in love with the next one, fall out of love. It's very true.
Hmm. I only said that because that happened to me.
Ah, okay. Yeah, you have to break up with your own book. It's true.
Yeah,
Just think of them as mini lovers,
yes.
Yes.
Move on to the next
Yeah.
one. And
It's not
Yeah.
sometimes
you,
you
it's
have
me.
3 at once, like Ruby said she does.
It's a
We have
buffet career.
we have another question from the audience from Demelza Carlton again. She wants to know, Ruby, how many copies of your USA Today bundle were sold in the week that it hit the list? Like, how many?
Yeah.
What were the numbers?
Sure. If you give me a moment, I actually can pull that up for you. Hold on, really quick.
I love organization.
Yeah, right. There are some amazing tools out there. It was definitely in the thousands. Hold on. I know that with Shifter Wonderland, I think we sold like almost 10 to 12,000 that
Wow.
first week. Yeah, it was crazy. But with this one, we didn't sell quite as much, but we hit our million pages read really fast. So your goal is the first million pages read. So just shy of 2,000 copies the first week.
And that hit the list?
Yep, that doesn't sound...
No, didn't hit the list, but that's okay because we didn't want it to. We weren't expecting it to. Just because this bundle is KU focused, and so unfortunately to hit the list, you have to be selling it on other platforms besides just Amazon.
All right then. And so what was the magic? Go ahead, Erica.
I was just going to ask, so what is the goal for the current sci-fi romance bundle that you're putting together?
Yeah, so I have launched the science fiction romance pen name, and you'll laugh because my reason for the bundle is very simple. Other than the fact that I like doing bundles, I have not been able to find many. There aren't many out there. And I thought, where are these? You know, like I actually kind of was searching Amazon because I wanted to discover more science fiction romance authors, and there's very few bundles that I could find. And so that was my first red flag. I was like, hey, wait a minute. Okay, let's publish one. You know, let me reach out. And since I already knew, you know, I know the process. I know how to put together a bundle and launch it. It's just a matter of reaching out and seeing if other authors are interested. So there you go. And that's how it came to be.
Well, that's a reasonable one. You don't have too much competition in a sense, but
yeah,
it is a genre that a lot of sci-fi romance authors seem to have trouble just getting visible.
Yeah, that's the thing is I've definitely, how do I say, sometimes there's the long game and there's the short game. So I know that establishing the science fiction romance pen name is going to take longer than probably another genre would, but that's okay because for me personally, that's actually an aspect of fiction that I really enjoy writing. And so I actually have 3 other stories that I'm working on slowly, only because I'm not as fast a writer in science fiction yet because I haven't been doing it primarily. But I really love the stories. Like I'm very invested in the stories, and it's going to be more about quality rather than quantity of work. And so since I've been writing as an author in other genres, and I know the business side of it all, for me, the first thing I know is like, how do you reach new readers? And so I'm hoping that with the bundle, we've got readers out there who are willing to try new authors. You know, maybe they'll see 1 or 2 that they already read and be like, well, okay, well, let's see who else is in this that I think, you know, is worth reading. Because I don't know about you, but I can generally read the first chapter or 2 of any story or any book, and I know right away if I'm going to like the author's style. So I think that bundles are one way readers do that. You know, they know pretty quickly. It's like a date, basically. You go on a date and you know pretty quickly, oh, this isn't gonna work. You know, it's like 10 minutes into it, you're like, this is not gonna happen, and I need to figure out how to get out of this, and I want to go home. You know, I think it's true for readers and books too. Like they know pretty quickly if, oh yeah, I like this author, this is good. I think I can invest the time. So. Yeah. So we'll see. We'll find out. We'll find out. I'm hoping that I'm not sure yet about if there's as many readers in Kindle Unlimited for the science fiction genre. I don't know. That's something I'm researching and trying to discover and find out. I know that I have a Kindle Unlimited membership, and so I'm discovering authors in science fiction romance that I probably would not have read if I wasn't for my Kindle Unlimited membership. So I'm trying to, my logic follows that there's going to be readers out there like me. So we'll see.
Where did the time go?
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, it is. I have one more question, but that's going to take us way over time, so we're going to have to do this in the after party.
Okay, fair enough. That's okay. It's been a pleasure. I'm really glad. These are great questions. Thank you.
No, and thank you for coming on and answering these questions for us, Ruby. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Okay, and thank you also to Chrishaun for coming in since everyone else is away.
It's always a pleasure. I always have a blast.
Another girls only night. Awesome.
Yes.
I think we get more
Nice.
views when this happens.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, and half the time it's just avatars instead of, actual moving people. But just wanted to quickly point out to our listeners and to our viewers that Self-Publishing Roundtable is looking to put together a multi-author cross-promotion giveaway. So not a bundle, but a cross-promotion giveaway where we'll pick a specific genre, and anyone who has books available in that genre that are on sale for free or perma-free or temporary free or for 99 cents, anything under $2.99, preferably a first in series or a standalone. We'll put them all together on a nice, pretty little page on the website, and then ask the lovely authors who are participating and anyone else who's interested if they could then share a link to that landing page for their newsletters, and our lovely readers can get free or discounted books, as well as going into a raffle copter to win an Amazon gift voucher, a US gift voucher,
Awesome.
or a UK gift voucher, because we're also going to see if we can attract more UK readers to our mailing lists. And what you get out of it is news people and readers, and hopefully potential hardcore fans, signing up to your newsletters and mailing lists. So look, keep an eye out on the website and social media, wherever we usually post, and we'll have more information for that in the next few days. But again, thank you for listening to this podcast. If you want to leave a review, do so on iTunes or leave us a message on the website. And the website is selfpublishingroundtable.com. Thank you very much. Goodbye, Internet.
Bye, Internet. Bye.
Good night.